Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, April 7, 2026. So we start off with Xander and Maggie. So Maggie's furious about what she's hearing, that Xander and Kate are behind setting up Johnny and filing this lawsuit against him, and how they could be so callous, so evil, so poor Johnny this and blah blah blah. He was a valuable employee of Titan. How could you blah blah blah? And Xander saying that there's no proof. That's what Johnny is claiming. I mean, we read the books, Bonnie and Stephanie's book. They're similar, so we had to file that lawsuit. It's just business at the end of the day. We all know that, they set him up, but still, Xander is trying to protect himself and said that's not the case. Now, Maggie doesn't believe it, and Maggie knows how Xander can get down, and even Kate, and she's just appalled at it. And that's not how she conducts business, and now she's trying to dangle the carrot in front of Xander and try to threaten him, that's saying that she will go public about him assaulting Philip, and Xander just had to give it to her this way, because Xander is not getting cornered no more. Xander is saying, okay, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to come forward and say that you and Sarah knew about it the whole time. So Maggie had to shut her mouth real fast, and she said, okay, we are complicit. So he said, we're at a stalemate now, so what's gonna happen? So she said she doesn't conduct business this way, and she doesn't want it to go down this path where they're doing underhanded things to just save Titan, and she's worried about the loan payment on the house. And Xander said it's already taken care of. So she said, how did you do it? So he said he had to sell, I guess, some stocks or bonds or whatever. And she's saying, really, no, because I had conversations with them and this wasn't so. And he said, okay, we had to do what we had to do, and Victor would do the same thing. And she said, you're really delusional if you feel like this is not going to come back and bite you, right? You feel as if what you did to Johnny was going to just take the bait. He was going to just pay you guys out. This is not how we handle things, and let this be the last that has happened. And he actually told her that this is why Victor kept things from you, because you don't have the grit. You don't have the you don't have the business acumen to run the company. And she's like, you don't want to mess with me. You don't know who I am. And after all these years, you don't know how I, handle business and all that. And, Xander is like, yeah. I mean, it had to be done. And I agree, because I don't feel like Maggie fits the whole cutthroat thing. Leave that to the professional. Leave that to Kate. Now, speaking of Kate, she's there meeting up with Marlena, and they talk briefly about what her family is going through with Rachel going back to baby, and she's sorry to hear that. And Marlena said it's the best thing that can work out for her. We just want the best for her. And Kate agrees. Sometimes we really wish we can step in and fix our kids and our grandkids' problems. So anyway, she asks, what are we meeting up for now? So Marlena said that, Basic Black is up for the grabs, and now that Brady has left Basic Black, still want to keep it in the family. And, Kate remembers how important it was to John. So Marlena is saying that I want to step in, have an interest in managing Basic Black. So she said, you're going to give up your practice? So she said, no, I'm still going to run it from the side, but I'm still going to be involved consulting in Basic Black, but I want you and I to run it together. So she's honored by it all, and she, agreed to the partnership, and they toasted to it. I don't know how this is going to go when Marlena finds out that Kate was also partly responsible for Johnny's demise. Now, Sarah's just there minding her business, having a quiet evening reading, and there comes Philip and Gabby. So she's surprised to see them both here, and she's like, do you need to see my mom or, talk to her or whatever? So he said, no, I'm just coming from there. So she said, how may I help you guys? So Philip tells her that he is moving in along with Gabby. So she's surprised at this all. And she's like, wow, I didn't know you guys were moving that fast to the point of cohabitating. So he said, yeah, it was the next move to make, and besides, your mom is okay with this. So she asked, is Xander okay with this? So he said, I haven't gotten a chance to tell him. So she said, it's best to, tell him in advance, because you don't want him to blow a gasket, considering he's not welcome to the house and all of that. So he said, He will tell him, he will make sure to let her know that, he will let him know about that so that, the house is not turned upside down. There's no World War II and Xander loses it because of them, moving in together. Now, he also said that he told Gabby about the fraud, and she said, "You really did that?" I said, I mean, forgive me for being transparent with my girlfriend. I mean, we don't keep secrets from each other, right, Gabby? And Gabby's like, yeah, and they're hugging. I'm saying, Gabby, you're just making this man look like a moron publicly, not only to himself, but in front of Sarah and everybody else. And I'm just saying, Gabby, girl, I like you, but good gosh, man, you keeping this secret on and on is going to mess up things for you and Philip. And I really like you guys together. Anyways, Philip and Gabby decided to go, set up their room, and then boom, Xander pops up, right? So Philip took the opportunity to tell Xander, hey, me and Gabby are moving in. Maggie's okay with it. So he said, wow, I didn't know you guys were moving in that fast. But he took it surprisingly really well. And he just, advised them about certain things not to do in the house. I mean, something about sourdough bread. And, Sarah made a remark before talking about how we know how you get with certain details. So he said, I mean, why would I have a problem with it? I don't live here. It's not my place to make any opinion or remark. So anyways, Philip said, he and Gabby are going to go up to the room, and he wishes Xander well because Xander is there to read a story to Victoria. So they leave, and they do what they do in their room, and Gabby is comparing both the Mirror Mansion and Kiriakis Mansion together, and that it looks a lot better, and she doesn't have to run into EJ and whatever. And I'm saying, anyways, Gabby, that was not needed, but okay. So they did their little adult thing, and yeah. Back to Xander and Sarah. Now, Sarah apologized for her remarks, and she shouldn't have misjudged him. And he said, it is what it is. Like, I have no place to really say, who can move in this place. But, she was there smiling with him, and very impressed with how he handled it. And I'm saying, Sarah, this man is not a child, You need to stop having this kind of thing where, oh my gosh, I'm stepping on pin needles, and oh my gosh, it's so great that you're acting like a decent human being. Like, stop treating this man like a child. Like, he's the father of your child. Give him some slack. Now, he also mentioned about Maggie, if only she can, extend her graciousness towards him and not being super judgmental. She even said it, Maggie even said it to him that he, she is appalled by his behavior and how he, is doing damage to the company and also to himself and blah blah blah. I mean, Maggie needs to take a look at herself and look at her daughter, because they're no saints and they have made colossal mistakes, but they fail to think about that, and I'm sick and tired of it. And they like to dangle or threaten and then behave as if they're not doing the same underhanded things, just of a lesser extent towards Xander. It's just annoying. Now, moving on, Johnny comes in, and they're catching up, and he extends greetings towards Malena, Roman, but not to Kate, because he's upset with Kate, and he explains why briefly. He says that Titan is suing him, and Kate knows about it because Kate was the one who suggested that he take on the manuscript, and knowing that they're both similar, hers, Bonnie's and Stephanie's, and she knew about it along, she sets him up. So now, Roman is looking at Kate's side. Roman's like, Kate, did you really do this? So, Malena took Johnny outside to talk, and then, Kate is saying, like, I didn't know that they were similar. I didn't read Bonnie's manuscript. I just told him to have a crack at it, but I promise you I didn't set him up. So he said, you better hope so. So, no, listen, I don't think Kate is telling the truth on that at all. Like, she knew what she was doing. She didn't care if that was going to hurt Roman's grandson. And I hope Roman do something drastic towards that, because that's not cool. Now, outside, Marlena is talking to Johnny, and Marlena said, I didn't know you're still staying out of the mirror. And he said that, I'm thinking about it because Theo is stepping down for personal reasons. I don't know why. and I haven't really, said yes, but I'm thinking stay and clean up my mess. And she asked, "Have you told Chanel yet?" So I said, "Not yet, but I will." And she said, "Don't make the mistake to not tell her, just like the last time with the whole situation with you not wanting to adopt Trey." So I said, "I've learned my lesson the first time. I'm not gonna do that again. I just hope that she'll be okay with me staying on." So she said, "You'll just have to figure it out." So Alex and Stephanie's there trying to get some work, trying to distract herself from everything that's happened to her recently. And Alex comes home with takeout, and even though she appreciates the gesture, she's not really hungry right now. And he said, "You need to eat, and you need to just take a break from work, and just focus on healing and just taking it easy." So she said, she just can't do that, right? So anyways, Johnny knocks at the door. He brings flowers for Stephanie just to check in on her, and she appreciates it. He also wanted to apologize to her because there's a lawsuit now with Titan suing Demira, and it's because both Bonnie's book and Stephanie's book are similar, and he didn't really know. He should have done the due diligence to read and compare the books, and he didn't do that. And he's sorry for putting Stephanie in the predicament because of what she recently went through. And she said, "Look, it's not your fault," and he didn't want to mess up her career, and she said she doesn't want to do any more books. And that's a surprise to not only Johnny but to Alex. And Alex is like, "You're not writing anymore." She said, every chapter has to come to an end, and I'm just over it. Now Johnny leaves on that note because they had to talk, and Alex understands, and she feels bad because she feels like she's letting him down, Titan down, because that's the only thing keeping Titan at this point. And he said, "Look, we will figure out another way. You have to take care of yourself." And they sit down, and they look at the food, and she's not really hungry, and she says she will eat it at 3 a.m. because that's the time she wakes up from her nightmares. And he said, "Look, don't be afraid to call on me. I'm here. If you need me to wake up and stay with you, I'll be there." So she said, "No offense, but you, my dad, I can't really rely on you guys to protect me. I have to protect myself, right? You guys have employed guards, did everything else, and even dad moved in with us, and it didn't work. Owen still found me, so I need to get a gun to protect myself. I need to know how to use it. I need to apply for a gun ownership and all that." So it's understandable after what she went through, but I feel like Stephanie really needs therapy more than getting the gun first. Let's start off with that first. But anyways, guys, that is it for today's episode. Comment below your thoughts. Let me know. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.